Κύριοι, καλησπέρα σας. Είναι μερικές φορές που μια εκπομπή σαν τη δική μας βρίσκεται στην καλύτερη της στιγμή. Και αυτό έχει να κάνει κυρίως με καλεσμένους καλλιτέχνες, των οποίων η προσωπικότητα και το έργο είναι εξαιρετικά δυνατά, λαμπερά και πάρα πολύ γνωστά σε ολόκληρο τον κόσμο. Μια τέτοια βραδιά λοιπόν είναι και η απόψινή και έχω τη μεγάλη χαρά να σας ανακοινώσω ότι μαζί μας απόψε βρίσκεται η Marina Abramovic, της οποίας λίγο τη ζωή μπορούμε να δούμε στο βίντεο που ακολουθεί. Η Marina Abramovic, μια μεγάλη καλλιτέχνης που από τη δεκαετία του 70 έχει ταυτίσει το όνομά της με την performance στον εικαστικό χώρο, έχει επηρεάσει καθοριστικά με το έργο της όσο λίγοι καλλιτέχνες τη σύγχρονη τέχνη και την εξέλιξή της και έχει αποσπάσει βραβεία σε μεγάλες εκθέσεις. Το 1997 έλαβε μέρος στην Biennale της Βενετίας, όπου και πήρε το μεγάλο βραβείο, το Χρυσό Λιοντάρι, με το έργο της Balkan Baroque. Η Marina Abramovic γεννήθηκε στο Βελιγράδι το 1946, όπου και ξεκίνησε τις πρώτες σπουδές της στην τέχνη στην Ακαδημία Καλών Τεχνών. Το 1975 μετακόμισε στο Άμστερνταμ της Ολλανδίας, όπου έζησε για πολλά χρόνια. Τα πρώτα έργα της προς την κατεύθυνση της performance τα έκανε στο Βελιγράδι με ένα καινοτόμο και πολύ προσωπικό τρόπο και ως βάση τους είχαν τη σχέση με το χρόνο. Το 1975 γνώρισε το γερμανό καλλιτέχνη Ουλάι. Αποφάσισαν να συνεργαστούν καλλιτεχνικά στα επόμενα έργα τους και στη συνέχεια για τα επόμενα 12 χρόνια δημιούργησαν έργα που παρουσιάστηκαν εκτενώς στην Ευρώπη, την Αμερική και την Αυστραλία. Έχοντας απορρίψει τη δοκιμή, την επανάληψη και το προκαθορισμένο τέλος, αυτά τα έργα παρουσιάστηκαν στο κοινό με μια πνευματική και φυσική ένταση που συχνά έφτανε σε ακραίες καταστάσεις και κρατούσαν μεγάλα χρονικά διαστήματα. Το τελευταίο κοινό τους έργο ήταν το Great Wall Walk, η πορεία στο Μεγάλο Τείχος, το 1988, όπου περπάτησαν από δύο αντίθετα άκρα του σενικού τείχους και συναντήθηκαν μετά από 3 μήνες πεζοπορία για να πούν αντίο, έχοντας διασχίσει 2.000 χιλιόμετρα ο καθένας, και εκεί τελείωσε η συνεργασία και η σχέση τους. Από τότε η Marina Abramovic έχει παρουσιάσει performances σε εγκαταστάσεις με αντικείμενα, όπως επίσης βίντεο και βιντεοεκαταστάσεις σε πολλά μουσεία και διεθνείς διοργανώσεις σύγχρονης τέχνης. Το έργο της Balkan Baroque σχολιάζει την κατάσταση στα Βαλκάνια και την πατρίδα της στη Ιουγκοσλαβία στις αρχές της δεκαετίας του 90, πολύ πριν τα πρόσφατα γεγονότα στη χώρα της, σαν ένα προφητικό και καταλυτικό έργο που έρχεται να αποκαλύψει την τραγωδία των Βαλκανίων μέσα από τα κοινωνικά, θρησκευτικά και εθνικιστικά προβλήματα και αδιέξοδα που οδήγησαν στην τραγωδία της Δυτικής Επέμβασης. Η Marina Abramovic σε όλη την πορεία της έχει ασχοληθεί με το σώμα και την ψυχή και τις προεκτάσεις που μπορεί να λάβουν οι σωματικές και ψυχικές διαδικασίες μέσα από διαδρομές σε ενεργειακές διαστάσεις και πνευματικές λειτουργίες. Ανιχνεύει και δοκιμάζει τα όρια της συνείδησης, τα αποτελέσματα του διαλογισμού και της περισυλλογής, την σωματική καταπώνηση και έκθεση σε κίνδυνο, την ανορθολογική χρήση του εαυτού και της σκέψης, την καταβύθιση στον άγνωστο κόσμο του ασυνείδητου και του εσωτερικού ψυχικού κόσμου. Υπερνικά τους φυσικούς περιορισμούς του σώματος, αντλώντας από πνευματικές και ψυχικές πηγές, ενώ ταυτόχρονα η φυσική αντοχή στην καταπώνηση του σώματος διεγείρει και οδηγεί τις πνευματικές και ψυχικές ικανότητες στα όρια τους. Λοιπόν, να την καλησπερίσουμε μαζί σας. Θα μείνουμε μαζί μια ώρα, θα δούμε όλη της τη δουλειά σχεδόν, με αφορμή την έκθεσή της που κάνει αυτόν τον καιρό στην αίθουσα τέχνης Καπάτος, την καινούργια αίθουσα τέχνης που βρίσκεται στην οδό Αθηνάς 12. Την καλησπερίζω λοιπόν. Good evening, Mrs. Abramovic.
Good evening.
I thank you so much that you are here.
I'm really pleased to be in Greece again. It was almost 7 years last time.
7 years. So I cannot understand how time is passing, and this is something that we will discuss after. Yes. Okay, so your artistic career since early 70s has been a personal investigation on physical limits through the performance medium. Well, was that a conscious decision, to devote yourself in this kind of expression?
You know, it didn't happen really at once, because very early, I think, since I was, I don't know, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, I really wanted to be an artist. I didn't want to be anything else. And I remember with the age of 12 I had my first exhibition, but it was paintings. And then I went to the normal education, like, you know, art academy. And only in art academy I actually start doubting that I really want to do painting. And I was more interested of making experimental, you know, forms of art. So first I really experiment with the sound, and through the sound somehow I get to the body. And once I made the first performance in the front of the public, this was it for me. I could not do anything else. I knew that the performance is the best possible media I can express myself.
Since you have so many years in this kind of work, what are the new experiences that you have brought in your art the recent years, considering that many things have changed in art today?
You know, but things are changing in art, but it's very important to be somehow true to yourself, because if you just look at the change in art and you follow the fashion, how art, you know, get more interesting in one direction or another direction, then you actually become fashion victim of art, which is not actually the point. It's very important. It's very important that you actually follow your own intuition and follow your own ideas, what you actually want to express. And you know, every artist get into the fashion and follow out of fashion, into the fashion, out of fashion, because the public's interest is shifting from one way to another way. And I think that, again, the most important that you see what you really wanted to say to the public in your lifetime.
And I remember when I was looking at this wonderful book of Carita, Artist's Body, I remember now that here I found a text about you. And here we read that you are convinced since many, many years that 21st century art tendencies are not based on an object. This is something you have said very early. But I would like very much, and I think some other artists would like to explain to us why this happened.
No, I just think that if you look at how the technology is developing, and I think more and more everything becomes virtual, and everything become more immaterial. And I think somehow the object become kind of, in the future, is going to be more and more heavy, more will be like almost obstacle, you know, to this kind of future vision of art. As you see now, everybody's into computers. There is this incredible program called Second Life, where you can take your own identity and you can be whatever you want to be, you know, imaginary. And the imagination become even stronger than the reality itself, because if you wanted to be skinny and glamorous and have 20 cars, you can have in a Second Life, but you can't have in your own reality, and so on. So I think the virtual kind of aspect of our life is really taking place. But I think that artists, as a kind of experimenter and as a kind of creator, have to really develop himself so much that he can actually almost telepathically transmit the ideas to the viewer without object between the viewer and the artist. Because before, the artist will create paintings or sculptures or installations, and the energy will go into the object and the object will communicate. But what if you remove the object? Then you have just the artist and the viewer. And I think it's the most direct communication, which actually will be based just on the creative energy. And this is, to me, like, you know, future of the art. It's interesting that for me the 21st century start with this incredible experiment. I don't know if you heard, it was in many newspapers around the world. It was a computer sect somewhere in the middle of America who actually made a collective suicide in the time when there was a comet passing, you know, the orbit of our Earth. Just they had a belief that the spaceship from another, you know, galaxy of civilization is hiding behind the comet, and for our human eyes we can't see it. Not even the strong telescope can't actually deduct it. So that they think that they wanted to go onto that ship, but physically they could not, because the physical body is such a, you know, heavy thing. So the suicide, in order that the soul can actually go on that kind of trip and join the you know, the spaceship from another galaxy. I mean, this is unbelievable concept, and really reality. And somebody died. They died. There was a group suicide. So when I read this, I was thinking, God, this is really far out. This is where I think that kind of how you call that, electronic image take over.
Well, let's come back in your work, which is more, you know, close to a physical situation.
Going to another galaxy.
Yes, exactly. So I can mention that most of your works are based on the stillness of your body. some of them, okay. But is this a comment on the meaning of passing time was when you started? Is it still like this now?
You know, my work went through so many different phases. The first phase was really to investigate the body. What is the pain? What is the physical limits of the body? And I went earlier and see so many operations of human body to kind of find out what's happening in your body, like how you cut the body, how you put it everything together and it's still alive. And then after this, all the physical research, I started being very much interested in the mental research and the spiritual aspects of the body and the consciousness and subconsciousness. And I really think that the one of the big aspects of my work now is time. And I really wanted to investigate what is the time, and because there's so many philosophical aspects of time that so many people believe that time doesn't exist at all. This is our own imagination. So that I create these long durational performances where everything stops, that I have to live in the moment, here and now. And I wanted to kind of take the public into the same space, here and now. And the time really will not exist. And this is really a big task, and I really try to do my best. It is really a question of the charisma, of the kind of, not just yours, but also the public. And is a kind of interest, is almost chemistry what have to happen between you and the public, that this thing happen. And it doesn't happen for a long time, maybe a fraction of a second, that kind of harmony, when time don't exist, that is just you live in that moment here and now, and you really can communicate on the highest level of consciousness.
I think that one of your most emotional works is The Lovers. Has to do with your relationship with the artist Ulay. Duration 90 days, as I remember. Is that right? March,
yes.
June 1988. Plays The Great Wall of China. Well, viewers? Question mark. Tell us about that story.
Well, I will tell in the shortest possible way, but it's complicated. You know, before the idea arrived when we was living 1 year in desert with the Australian Aborigines. Somehow, in the middle of nowhere, desert's always a good thing to get some good ideas, came this idea that why we don't walk Chinese Wall? Because it was this report of astronauts. They can, when they land on the moon, the human-made construction on the Earth will be the pyramids and in Egypt and the Chinese Wall that you really can see from the moon. And then we started researching this whole story with the Chinese Wall, and we find that actually Chinese Wall, what is the most fascinating, it was not done just for the kind of how you call strategically defending of the China from the foreigner attacks like a Genghis Khan and so on, but it was really made like a metaphysical construction. The Chinese Wall starts in a Yellow Sea and goes through the mountains and finishing in the desert, and it's called Great Dragon. And actually they're following completely energy and magnetic geodetic line of our planet. So if you see the completely flat field, the Chinese Wall, what rational will be, from a rational point of view, will be just to go straight. It doesn't go straight, it goes zigzag, because it's not because of the fence, it's because of that following the energy line, and so on and so on. So we made this idea, okay, if the artist will walk the Chinese Wall and be always exposed to this geodetical line of the energy of the planet, what kind of ideas they're going to have? So the Ulay star will start in the desert, what is really fire element and a male, and I will start in the Yellow Sea, what is female and water element. And when we will walk the wall till the middle, and then we will make together from the two experience the work. But this was the idea. But to get Chinese permission took 8 years, and this was before China was open. You had to get permissions to pass 13 provinces completely forbidden for foreigners. There were so many obstacles and so many long stories how we get through all this administration, very complicated Chinese administration, that we finally got permission to walk the wall. And finally, when we got permission, it was 8 years later. Our relation was completely on the end. We were splitting, but somehow I never give up anything in my life, So I say, okay, now we are splitting. But what we do, we will walk not to join our work together, but we walk towards each other to say goodbye. So this was one of the most painful goodbye probably in my life, emotionally and as a human being, but also as an artist.
But for an audience, and I suppose that people are watching us now, even if it is too late at night. For an ordinary people, I mean, for somebody who can listen to that story from the beginning, isn't that so strange that somebody who has lived so many years for somebody who loved him and who makes so great work?
A very important thing. Not only that we live together, but we met on our birthday, and we are same day born.
Oh,
and we met exactly on the day when we we had a birthday. You know, so it was much more than much more than just a normal story. It was really extraordinary story. And we lived 12 years together, and that was like really the end, and that's why we call the piece "The Lovers."
Powerful element of your work is the transformation of our real human conditions into art. And I can mention some elements like this. I mean, love, separation, endurance, passions, mourning, politics, social behaviors, and all this through beauty, because you are a beautiful woman also. Well, can you say to an ordinary person, I ask again, that this is an attitude of yours that we could share also in our life?
You know, to me, first, you know, from which material I'm working. I'm always working from my own personal material, because this is the material where I really know what is about. But at the same time, if you only wanted to show your own personal life to the public, it's not enough. You have to, there is somebody said once, the deeper you go inside yourself, the more universal you come to other side. So you have to go deep in yourself, and you really look the deep, you know, emotions, but somehow, and personal, but somehow you have to twist them and transform them and make them universal. And only when they become universal, the public can react on you, and they can really see for themselves the elements that they can use for their own life. So I kind of start with the personal, but then I depersonalize them through the process of making art, and then I give them to the public, and they can do whatever they want. So that you know, my work is about, you know, getting free from the fear of pain, getting free from the fear of dying, getting free of the, you know, all the problems we have in our lives. Somehow, how we can get them free out of it. And then the main how you call thing about my work is really, you take all these elements, put them together, and you give them to the public, and they have to bring awareness. They have to open something. They have to ask some questions, not always say the answers, but they definitely have to elevate the spirit and give them strength. If I can do it, they can do it too. That's the main thing, you know.
Do you have any strong, I'm sure that you have, but just asking, just to give you a start to tell us, do you have any strong experiences from your audience, from the viewers all these years? I mean, something very strong that impressed you a lot, or make you feel fear, or make you want to give up?
Only once I had such experience.
Can we share that?
I never told to anybody. The people knew it just when they happened, but I never told to anybody publicly till now. It's really interesting that you asked this question. You saw, I was teaching a long time, but in different places. You know, I teach in Japan, I teach in Beaux-Arts in Paris, in Germany, and in the America, but I give up teaching right now, not since 3 years. But I was teaching in one period 8 years in Braunschweig, which was is a really school for media art, and I was teaching performance, just pure performance, not dance, not photography, not video, not multimedia, just performance. And there was an idea of all the professors to make celebration, because it was some kind of school day, to make celebration, to create the event called 70s, my 70s. So the professors was from that generation. So I started in the 70s, really make performance. So this was the idea, how I will express my 70s, but then students, how they will express their 70s, because they actually, through the vision of their parents or their own, remembering of 70s, because some of them were born, in that time. So there was all these different events during about 3 days in the school. And one of my students made a T-shirt of one of my pieces, and she Rhythm Zero, when I was trying this drug for the catatonic it was experiment. And she projected this, there was the t-shirt she had on, you know, she dress. And she went to the toilet without saying to anybody. And she drank 1 bottle of whiskey, but literally straight. And then she went out of the toilet and she lay on the floor like performance, you know, with my t-shirt on. So people was thinking that she was just, you know, kind of playing, be drunk or whatever, and this was like idea of 70s, she's lying down. So nobody, even me, nobody reacted at all. And people was, you know, going on and looking at other works and so on. And after about 2 hours, I look at better and I see the foam coming out of her mouth. She was in coma. She was in absolute coma, you know. I mean, I never forget that feeling in my life, you know, that when I realized something is very wrong with her. So we took her straight to the hospital, and I spent all night, you know, cleaning her stomach or everything, you know, to get out of this situation. And that night I will never forget in my life, because I was thinking, if something happened to her and I die, and she died, I don't think I will ever teach again, and I don't think I will ever could be artist again, because it was like completely misunderstanding example that I give to her about myself and my work. Plus, it's so kind of funny that she took alcohol. I never drink. I can't even drink because I get headaches, so I never drink in my life. But she took this as idea of 70s, and then with my T-shirt, it was just
what an influence.
This was really when we were bad.
Okay.
This was the only moment in my life that I was thinking, you know.
Well, we thank you so much to give us this experience. We have to go to a break now, and then we continue with some other questions. Είμαστε σε πολύ λίγο μαζί. Να σας θυμίσω ότι συζητάμε με την κορυφαία performer, τη σπουδαία καλλιτέχνητα, τη Marina Abramovic, που έχει βρεθεί στην Αθήνα με αφορμή την έκθεσή της στην Γκαλέρη Καπάτος. Θα σας πούμε λεπτομέρειες στο τέλος της εκπομπής. Δείχνει πολλά από τα σημαντικά της έργα βίντεο και κάποιες φωτογραφίες. Μιλάμε για τη ζωή της, για το έργο της, για τις σχέσεις της. Well, Marina, you were telling us the story with viewers and the audience and the reactions, and I remember that sometimes in your work we see that you change roles with people, and I can remember that piece of work in, I think, in Amsterdam or in Germany with the prostitute that you've changed.
In Amsterdam.
So this is something that me personally, as an artist also, I was very much impressed when I first came in touch with this piece of work. And sometimes also I show to people how somebody can change into life and in an art kind of area, because I don't know, she went to the gallery and you went to the house. What happened? Tell us about that.
Oh, it was very complicated. First of all, you see, I have this very military education from my mother and father's side in Belgrade. So, you know, for me, to be prostitute, when I come to Amsterdam first time and I saw women in the windows, this was unthinkable coming from my background. And my mother was always saying that this was, you know, there's something that that is going wrong, you know. So I had this incredible need to do something, to put myself in some kind of psychological danger in a situation that I don't know at all, which I'm absolutely educated not to do. You know, that was absolutely the impulse I had very strong. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to look for the woman who is, who in that time I was 10 years professional artist. I wanted to look at the woman who was 10 years professional prostitute, and I was 10 years professional artist. So we exchanged the role. She come as dressed, as working for her job into the gallery and being me in my show, and I'm as dressed as working, you know, as an artist and going to her situation. So in the gallery we had a map, but not just the map with the cross where I was, because that would influence the normal kind of you know, flow of the normal tourists and people going to that district. So we just had a complete circle around the whole area. So if you want to look at me, you have to go everywhere. You don't know exactly where it is. And for her, you know, she arrived in the gallery and she was extremely nervous. We had the 2 cameras, you know, one camera secret on my side, one camera on her. So she was very nervous. I asked her, but how you feel? And she said, I feel very hot. And she started taking dress off. And I asked her, but what do you think about art? She said, I only know about fucking. I mean, I don't know anything about art. So she was in this very natural, very straightforward in a wrong situation. And in me, she told me only 2 things: that I should never go, never go below the very specific price that she have, and to be kind to everybody. This was the two things. So later on, when we put these two films together, she looked at me and she said to me that I will starve to death, that I don't have no talent to be prostitute at all. And I said, what I've done wrong? Because, and first of all, I only had 3 visitors. And why? Because I give her 6 hours. I say, can we do it in 6 hours? She said, I can't do it in 6 hours because you give me, it was at that time, I don't know, something like 50 euro, you know, because I was paid 100 euro. And I was saying, okay, I do 6 hours for 50 and you do, you know, 50, half. She said, I'm not Mother Teresa. I mean, I get much more money than you as an artist. I'm sorry. I like you, so I give you, you know, 2 hours. So I had these 2 hours and not 6. So in these 2 hours I had 3 people. One was drunk and just came in and out. Another one was asking for her, and third one didn't want to pay the price. So this was my story. So when I put it together, this film, I was asking, you know, but what I done wrong? Why you think that I have no talent? She said, but you're doing everything wrong. I mean, because I was sitting in a kind of performance position, just staring out of the window. She said, no, you have 2 mirrors, because the space is made like a military caserne. Everything is so functional. There is a bed, there is a condoms, there is a paper, there is everything really serves the function. And for her, it's a business, and it's nothing to do with anything else. She had a marriage, husband who owned the old street, and everything was working. Like he would take her out for dinner in the evening, like after the business. Everything was devoted. But for me, it was interesting how the body and mind was completely not together. How she, you know, give the body to that business, but then turn into normal relation again, which was impossible for me. So I want to experiment that. So anyway, she said, if somebody comes, you know, very, very sexy and, you know, like full of energy, you see him before he come to you through the mirror on the window, and then you have to make really very sexy position. But somebody is very small and incredibly, how you call, unsecure, then you have a very motherly position, a very giving position to him and so on. So you act constantly. I just sit there and I was staring at one point, totally terrified that something going to happen. So this was the story.
So you lost as a prostitute, you no luck. I mean,
and she was not the greatest as an artist either. So it was called Exchange the Role, and I made it in 75 in Amsterdam.
Go back now again to your family that you mentioned before.
Yeah.
What's the story of your family, which is well known to some people in a way, because we've read about this? Was that the cause of the creation of your artistic core? Do you believe this?
You know, it's so important. I think my theory, the more difficult childhood you have, the better artist you get. You know, if you have the happy childhood, nothing can happen to you, because of what you can do with happiness. So I had a really bad childhood, because you know, I'm a very stubborn person, and I struggle so much, and I come from the family that was so contradictory inside each other, because like my grandmother, the Orthodox, very religious, and the uncle, you know, the how you call the uncle, the brother of my grandfather was a Patriarch Varnava. There is a lots of books written about him, because he died being poisoned by the king in 36, because he refused concordat, unification of Orthodox and Catholic Church at that time. Then they proclaim him, you know, the Orthodox people as a saint. So I have somebody who is completely religious, completely dedicated, and really believe in a spiritual life. And then I have mother and father, both partisans, both national heroes. I didn't know that till my mother died recently that my mother was the hero too. She never told me that. I discovered with the medals and everything. So, you know, and I have that, and there was like you know, the religion and communism together, and that was both in me somehow in the most clear way through my work expressed, that I have the both things. You know, my family was always about legend, about dedication to the cause, that you are not important, that you have to sacrifice everything you have for the real right idea and so on. And then, you know, from grandmother's side with a very high spirituality. So I think that's the kind of mix I got. And I think from that mix I got something that I never learned, and I think it's kind of genetically I got from my parents. It's a willpower. And that's something that even frightened me. I'm frightened by this because sometimes my body can't go. I'm tired or I'm sick or whatever. But if I put the aim in the front of me, no matter what, no matter that I die in the process, I'm going to do it. I never question. And that's, I think, came from parents.
Well, do you think that an artist could create a strong art through pain? I mean, you have a big experience through your body and through your personal view on what you've done. I mean, can you see yourself as a viewer sometimes? And can you say to an artist who is young and who starts now, maybe, that through pain could succeed things? I mean, it has to do with limits, with a kind of decision that you have to go on and on, as you say?
You know, I think the most important thing for the young artist is to find out if he's really artist or who he is. You know, we always forget who we are. We don't ever question. We don't even know who we are because we never have time to find out who really we are. And I think that's the main thing. The first step is to find out if you're really an artist. You know, I think always when you ask me if somebody's artist is not, to me it's like question breathing. You know, if you don't breathe, you die. I mean, you just never question the breathing. So if you don't question creation, that you have to create, that something in you makes you create, and otherwise you die, that means you're an artist. But still doesn't make you a good artist, just make you an artist. So there is another step that is something, some kind of element that you have to be born with that makes you really greatest than the rest. And that's very, very difficult. So to put such a task in the front of young artists, the main thing for him is to find out if he really is this what he wanted to do, be an artist. Doubt is a big, big loss of energy for many young artists because they're doubting, you know, and they're so much influenced by the art market and so much influenced by so many different styles and what is in fashion, what is out of fashion. Look in the magazines. They lose themselves, and that's a really big problem. You have to always go inside and find what you really are. And from that point come originality and strengths. And that's the really important, not to doubt.
I remember that you have already mentioned in some of our past conversations your opinion about the kind of remixing arts today. And since we both come from Venice Biennale this year, where I met you some months ago, and we were discussing about the kind of works we saw there, what do you think about this new generation in arts? Do you see people that they continue what you're doing in a way?
You know, I never want anybody to continue what I'm doing. I even if you ask the students I've been teaching for so many years, I never would talk to them about my work or show me my work. I
but
never
everybody
do that.
compares with you, you know that?
But I never wanted to do this because I'm always terrified with the, you know, I remember when I was a painter that you come from the class and like 30 students and 30 students make the same painting and as a professor, and it's like horrifying me. So my main thing with the teaching was always to find individuality in every person and to develop this own thing, you know, and not to have as I had. I think that's you know, the art scene since art started is always in crisis and out of crisis. You know, there is different stories, but everywhere you can find somebody who is incredible, original, incredible, you know, the charismatic and the talented, and then you have 300 people following. So you know, you have to always go for the best. I always like to see when young artists come, and I see him that he have to kind of have the fever. You know, I always recognize this fever that something is burning in you, that something is urgent, you know, urgent to make, urgent to create. Sometimes you don't even need to know that what you're doing that is clear to you, because this urge is it's a creative force that have to come out. I remember there's so many pieces I done in the past. I didn't realize them. I didn't absolutely know why I done them then. At that time, I only see the picture now looking backwards. That was exactly what I should do, but they didn't have a really line inside. Now they have it, but it takes 20-30 years to see that. So I think sometimes we think too much. We have to just have this urge and make things, and we don't need to always have rational explanation about them, which I think can kill art most of the time. And then there's another question you just asked that I was about, you know, the recognition and success in this. I just want to refer to this. You know, I think that so many young artists think that that the aim of art is to have money and have success. And if any of them come to me and tell me that this is the aim, I say just forget it, just go away and do something else, do business. because the success of the recognition, it's not the aim of art, it's just a side effect. If happen, but so many artists after 100 years have the success and recognition, and not their lifetime. I really somehow is luck for me to have it, but you know, I only can live from my own work since last 10 years. I'm now this year 61, so from 50 I could pay my electricity bill, I could pay my things, but till 50 I could not. I mean, nobody pay performances. I mean, performance is not the art you can sell as paintings, you know. I mean, it's not happening, but I believe in that form of art so much, you know, that I didn't care about the monetary satisfaction or not. And then I think that if I have success, this comes because of that I really don't only refer to art scene, I refer to everybody. I wanted to explain my art from the cleaning lady to the director of company. I don't care. There is a democracy in that, you know, that there have to be language that everybody can understand, and that's very important. And then also I put lots of attention to young generation of artists. That's my really the biggest you know, effort, because I believe that the artists have to be servant of society, that you really have what all your experience, what you have in, you have to bring back and you have to give to the young generation. And young generation is something that carry farther, not just your ideas, their own, but you can be good example to them how it should be done.
Okay, so we go for our last break. I think that whatever you say, it's you know, it goes exactly where it must go. I hope that. And we will be back in 30 minutes. Συνεχίζουμε και τελειώνουμε τη συνάντησή μας με την κυρία Μαρίνα Αμπράμοβιτς. Ελπίζω να έχετε μείνει μαζί μας, γιατί η συζήτηση μας έχει πάρα πολύ μεγάλο ενδιαφέρον, τουλάχιστον εγώ αυτό αισθάνομαι, και υποθέτω ότι όσοι μας ακούτε θα έχετε ήδη κερδίσει από αυτή τη συζήτηση. Δεν υπερβάλλω, πραγματικά πιστέψτε με. Λοιπόν, well, Marina, one of my questions had to do with the elements in your work that they have to do with important movements of the 20th century. I mean, like fluxus, like land art, language art, if there is any something like this. Conceptual, new realism with the objects and things like this that you have used. And in a way, theater and Eastern philosophy, of course. So do you feel as a carrier of the culture? As a carrier, I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
It's very close with career. That's why
career.
But I don't mean career. I mean carrier.
I don't know. You know, there is so many things happening, and somehow one proceed after another. I think that was for me logical that after the fluxus happening came conceptual art. Conceptual art went to body art, but then body art didn't stay as a body art. It changed again, you know, and went into really more into the theater and music and MTV and fashion, and went back to dance and so on, and then turned again into video installations. And now they're coming new group of artists who are doing the performances again, looking different. So it's like really comes and goes. But I really feel more like a carrier if I say of the performance art, because from the body art, almost all my generation don't perform anymore, and I'm the only one who I still feel that something
just
that.
Imagine why.
You know, I have the feeling that I have historical kind of function. That's why I don't know.
You are born like this.
My pieces, 7 easy pieces, where I really wanted to investigate re-performance of the performance, because you know, before in the 70s we said, not just me, but all the performance artists at that time, no repetition. So it was a very radical idea. But now we are in 2007, and I say no, not to repetition. Yes, let's repeat. You know, so I contradict myself, but sometimes contradiction is important, because I contradict because the situation is completely different, and I believe that the performance can only live if it's performed and not just staying in the books as a, you know, low resolution pictures and video from 70s. Was such a bad documentation.
It's like energy. I mean, it's live energy.
And the live energy. So now the question is, you know, they are re-performing, the young artists, literally copying ideas or stealing or fashion or MTV or whatever, you know, dance. So the question is, I'm very much into some kind of dignity and the old-fashioned moral issues. Okay, I want to perform the piece, but then I admit this is not mine, so it's somebody else. So let's ask for permission. Let's pay the artist permission. Let's understand the original piece, and then I can make my version. And I think this is totally fine. So 7 Easy Pieces was my contribution to the clarity where is standing performance art, because performance art is in very, very serious position. They've never been really part of the general art scene. It's always on the periphery, always been. You know, in this same was video in the beginning, same as photography, but not anymore. It's completely part of the art language. But the performance, because it's time-based art, because it's always unpredictable, they never really been taken in any of these forms seriously. But in the same time, this is a strength of performance, because give us freshness, give us this incredible unpredictability, you know, that can happen or not happen, or die or not die. So you never know. And I really want to. I'm still, you know, my whole idea is to completely dedicate my life to performance. Right now, just last month, I bought a property in Hudson, in upstate New York, where I'm going to make the Abramovic Center for Preservation of Performance Art, and with the grants for the young artists and everything. So all money we'll ever get is going to this, because the young artists can continue performance.
Art must be beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Artists must be beautiful, beautiful. Art must be beautiful, beautiful.
Well, Marina, let's finish with two more personal questions.
Yes.
I think that all my questions were personal. I mean,
Yes, but I turned them into universal, because they're universal in the same
okay,
time.
but this one is very personal. It has to do with your mother that you lost very recently. And as we know, she was very exceptional personality. And I want to ask you, if you would mind telling us more about her. Did she influence you?
You know, till before last 10 months before she died, I didn't understand my mother at all. I was always fighting her. My whole life was extremely fight. You know, she was incredibly strong character. She never left me. You know, I was 29 when I escaped house. I was making all my performances 10 before, till 10 in the evening, because I could not get out 10 in the evening, you know, out of house, because she would not let me. I mean, this is insane, my you know, story with my mother. Till, you know, the last 10 months when she was in hospital, I went to her apartment and started looking through the stuff, and I found the diaries, and I found the things that I didn't know about my mother at all. And I was so impressed, and it was so difficult to actually, I discovered a person so close to me that it's almost frightening. So the lost was, in the same time, I recognized that who she was, and in the same time I lost her. So I could not continue conversation, and this was the most difficult moment really lately in my life. I just wanted to share with you something that I also never share with anybody, because it's just something that I discovered last month. There was a little story about my mother courage. You know, I knew that my father was national hero, but I never knew that my mother was national hero too. So I found this part of the newspaper when they actually, and the medals and all the rest, where actually they explain for what she got this medal, you know, of heroism. And I'm going to tell you the story. And this I read first time in my life, just, you know, literally 10 days before she died. The story is this: is liberation of Belgrade. She was partisan, you know. She went to partisans with 18 years old. She was 18. She was like 22 or 3 when the war was finished. So in that time it was liberation of Belgrade, and the liberation of Belgrade was a 7 days fight from house to house. She was commander of the entire sanitate, who takes the first wounded from the front line people into the hospital. So she was with the truck going through the Belgrade in complete fire, with the 5 nurses and the driver, and with the 45 heavy wounded partisans. And they was going to get to the hill where it was already liberated, where was the hospital to safety. In the middle of all Belgrade, the driver got shot. And the whole truck is in fire and with bullets, and these 5 nurses and her, so 6 of them, with incredible force, they're taking them out, the 45 really grown-up people. I mean, this is not easy, out of the truck, putting them next to the sidewalk. She ran into the burning truck and saved the radio phone, and she phoned the hospital to get sent another truck. So they're waiting there for another truck. Another truck is arriving. They're putting back these guys into the truck. In the meantime, all the 4 nurses die. You know, they're just shot. So it's only her and 1 more nurse, and they succeed to get all these people back into the hospital safe and save 45 lives. I mean, this was my mother, just simply. So,
well, very strong moments, well, Marina, I'm very happy that you give us this kind of experience of a soul experience. I mean, which is, it's not happenings and things like, you know, reading a newspaper or an interview, but you share with us a kind of your very personal
because
feelings.
you write, you know, you ask right questions. That's why.
Thank you so much.
You know, the people in interviews, they always ask. This is why Greece is so important to me. You know, because it's something very direct here. There is something come from heart. You know, in the normal you go to the interviews on television and it's always standard questions, but it's very hard to not to give standard answers. But if you ask something so direct.
Marina Abramovic δεν είναι μεγάλη τέχνη, είναι κομμάτι της τέχνης. Δηλαδή, όταν αναφέρεσαι στη σύγχρονη τέχνη, δεν μπορείς ποτέ να μην έχεις στο μυαλό σου τη Marina Abramovic. Η επαγγελματική σχέση με την Abramovic, η δικιά μου, ξεκίνησε πριν 10 χρόνια περίπου, όταν της ζήτησα να παρουσιάσουμε μια έκθεση στην Αθήνα, αμέσως μετά από το Balkan Baroque, το οποίο κέρδισε το Χρυσό Λιοντάρι στη Βενετία, και με μεγάλη της χαρά δέχτηκε να ξεκινήσουμε να συζητάμε για αυτήν την έκθεση, που μετά από λίγα χρόνια την πραγματοποιήσαμε. Στη συνέχεια διατηρήσαμε μια σχέση και επαγγελματική και φιλική, πάρα πολύ στενή και πολύ καλή, και κάποτε ήρθε και ορίμασε ο χρόνος να κάνουμε την επόμενη έκθεση. Η ίδια είναι πανευτυχής με την έκθεση, με το στήσιμο, με την γκαλερί, με την Αθήνα. Της αρέσει πάρα πολύ η Ελλάδα, της αρέσουν πάρα πολύ οι άνθρωποι στην Ελλάδα, της θυμίζει πάρα πολύ τη χώρα της, αλλά τη χώρα της χωρίς να έχει τα προβλήματα που η ίδια έχει βιώσει στη χώρα της, και είναι σε μια διάθεση να κάνει πολύ περισσότερα πράγματα στην Ελλάδα. Όσον αφορά αυτή την έκθεση, παρουσιάζουμε μερικά από τα σημαντικότερα έργα που έχει κάνει. Έχει κάνει μια ας πούμε μίνι αναδρομική της δουλειάς της, με τα σημαντικότερα έργα της, και είναι έργα τα οποία ήθελε να δει μαζί, τα οποία ποτέ δεν τα έχει δει, και αυτά είναι κάτι σαν μια προετοιμασία για τη μεγάλη έκθεση που θα παρουσιάσει στο MoMA, το Μουσείο Μοντέρνας Τέχνης της Νέας Υόρκης, που είναι ίσως η σημαντικότερη της καριέρας της.
Let's finish with a question more about you. You are intelligent, talented woman. You gave in your art the 100% of your power. I can say that. I can see that everybody can recognize if he or she knows what you are doing all these years. But tell me sincerely, do you feel balanced after all? I mean, I ask you as an artist, as a human being, as any way you can answer to me.
You know, it's been such a difficult times in my life, up and down, up and down. But right now, in this point of my life, I think I feel the best ever. I never had, actually, I really feel happy and kind of balanced, because I really understand how my emotional struggle. I understand how, you know, it's very interesting when you somehow I start thinking how many years is still left that I can do something. So you stop doing bullshit. You just kind of concentrate on the really important things in your life that you want to do, and the rest is not important. Because when you're young, you really don't understand time in the right way. You think you have time forever, and you're wasting it in big deal, you know. And you're also wasting it on the things you unnecessary, you know, the stupid unhappiness and stupid relationships with the people you should not have, you know. I mean, love stories and all the rest. And then when you come to the certain age, you just see, God, I have maybe 10 years, maybe 15 of real work, maybe 5 days, who knows. Let's really go for it.
Okay, let's really go for it. Have a nice time wherever you go in the world, in the planet.
I would like to say something about the Greeks.
Okay.
This is really important to me. Before we finish,
okay.
I just want to say that to me, you know, Greece is not just another country where I do the show. And it's more like, for me, I always say, when I come to Greece, for me, it's like coming home, but without pain. Because there is so much similarity, because my culture and Greek culture, in so many ways, you know, that really that feeling is so strong. Every time I come here, I feel like home. But I don't have that pain like I have that is no more Yugoslavia, that everything's changed, that things are in total chaos, and all what I love there is destroyed.
Okay, I think Greek people understand this, and they give you back their love. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Good night.
Thank you.
Αγαπητοί φίλοι, θα σας καληνυχτήσουμε. Θα σας πω ότι η έκθεση στην Γκαλερί Καπάτος της Μαρίνας Αμπράμοβιτς διαρκεί. Είναι στην οδό Αθηνός 12. Θα δείτε μερικά εξαιρετικά έργα βίντεο για όσους αγαπάτε το performance, αλλά και για όσους πρώτη φορά γνωρίσατε αυτή την προσωπικότητα που λέγεται Μαρίνα Αμπράμοβιτς. Καλό βράδυ και ευχαριστούμε που μείνατε μαζί μας τόσο αργά.